was in a battle for high school ranking for nearly 2 years without knowing it. I was very ill during 8th grade in the US, so that's the last year of grade school, before high school, and missed a few months completely, and was only allowed to do half days for another month or so. Even though I was doing homework, I wasn't getting the in-person instruction, and I'm more of a visual auditory learner. So needless to say, my grades weren't great, and therefore placement in high school was at a remedial level my freshman year. But they had figured out what was wrong with me and the medication had worked. So I had no attendance issues and had nearly a 4.0 GPA. I was the only person from my grade school to go to this high school. The city line was literally our back fence, so I had to make friends with people who had gone to the same grade school their entire lives. I finally made a few friends. Most of them were in the marching band, even though I wasn't. Unbeknownst to me, this was also when this feud started. Another member of the band who was friends with some of my little circle was very invested in being in the top 10 of the class, and suddenly she was at 11. Because I was in the top 10. I don't know why she had no issues with the other 9. I obviously knew I was in the top 10, actually was salutatorian at the end, but ranked I think 4th because 3 people were valedictorians with perfect 4.0 GPAs, but had no idea this was bothering anyone except me. To get to the schools I wanted to apply to, I needed to be in the good classes, especially math. I have always and will always hate math, but sophomore year I had to take algebra and geometry to get caught up. I guarantee that year took several years off my life, and I'm amazed I didn't get gray hair. But I succeeded. It wasn't until junior year, when we were starting ACT prep classes, that one of my friends made an offhand comment to the effect of, if you do well on the ACTs then Crystal will have to stop saying you cheated your way to the top. What now? Literally the entire group I was sitting with, about 9 people, are just staring at me until someone finally said, "You know, Crystal has been saying you took those easy classes freshman year to boost your GPA, right?" No, in fact I did not. Everyone looked very uncomfortable. I was still trying to make sense of that, when someone helpfully chimed in, "Yeah, she's been talking all summer about how when she gets a better ACT score than you it will prove you shouldn't be in the top 10. Okay, so does she think she gets to take my spot if she gets a higher score?" To this day I have no clue why this was so important to her, but eventually the day came where we got our scores back, and she was telling the whole school about her 31, which is a very good score. She was extremely intelligent, which is why I was so baffled that this mattered to her. And I just said nothing, because I knew she would ask me in front of everyone. And while I thought the whole thing was ridiculous, I had a bit of a petty streak. So during lunch, she stood up at the end of our lunch table and basically yelled, "Clara, did you hear I got a 31? "Sure did, congratulations." She just stood there a minute, while I drank my soda. Then finally, "Well, I haven't heard from anyone what you got. Don't you want to share?" "I don't mind, I got a 32. It was like watching a balloon deflate. It was certainly not my proudest moment, but at the same time, if you're going to be in intense competition for something, you should maybe at least let your opponent know about it." Malicious compliances temporarily loses £65,000. I used to work at a cash center. All the security trucks would collect cash from businesses during the day. We would open the packages, credit their accounts, and the cash would be bundled and shipped back out to banks and cash machines. I worked the night shift, and it became an unwritten rule that when you finished your work you could go. Well, one evening we had a new manager singled me out to stay and help the team who loaded the money for cash machines. Now this was a job I had never done before. I tried to ask a few questions like, how much do we put in each bundle? How much should we have in each box? Only to be met with an aggressive "just out the cash in the box. It's not rocket science." "Okay, you're the boss." So I put the cash in the box. When the box was full I pushed the cash down and fit even more in. I kept going until I physically could put another note in and used all my weight to close the cash box. Well, it turns out they were only supposed to contain £100,000, and the shit hit the fan when they did the last checks. And they thought they were £65,000 short. They ordered a full recount of all the boxes. When the one I had packed was opened it practically exploded. There was cash everywhere. One of the girls who worked the section was stunned you could actually fit that much in one of the boxes. I would like say I had the told you so moment of being confronted, but the manager said nothing, and once the boxes were repacked I went home. I never got asked to cover that section again though. My dad thinks Democrats want to kill him. Warning, this is going to be political. Obviously I wanted to post this on our insane parents, but I don't have any images to go with it, so hopefully it's fine here. First, a little bit of background. My dad has been biased in favor of Republicans for as long as I remember. Admitted he's voted only for Republicans since he started voting cause he never trusted Democrats. I assume he was indoctrinated by Rush Limbaugh before I was born, since he also indoctrinated me with Rush when I was a politically ignorant teenager in 2016. And before that he would always angrily rant about Obama. Typical conservative stuff so far. right? But in recent years he's gone off the deep end, believing more and more conspiracy theories like the earth actually being flat and Michelle Obama secretly being a man. And while I've stopped supporting Trump, my dad has doubled and tripled down on his support of the con, wearing fucking MAGA hats in public almost every day. I should also mention a while ago I made the mistake of telling my dad I thought Biden was the lesser evil in this election. My dad was flabbergasted, going, "You think he's the lesser evil?" and treating me like an idiot because I disagree with him politically. And now we flash forward to a couple days ago. Me and my dad are in the car on the way to the grocery store, and he decides to start yelling at me about politics. He starts going off about how Democrats want to kill every single Republican. No joke. He actually fucking believes this. When I tried to tell him he was likely believing fear-mongering propaganda, he interrupts me yelling, "No, it's true. They want to kill US. They want to kill US." Since appealing to reason didn't work, I tried to tell my dad there are radical elements of both sides, cause I assumed he thought some random online represents the entire Democratic Party for some reason. I told him that there's Nazis on the right, and he starts yelling again, "I know that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit," just refusing to listen to me at all. I told my dad he was acting like he was in a cult, and he instantly yells, "You're in a cult," because not thinking everyone to the left of Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump is going to kill me makes me a cult member, I guess. Keep in mind he's yelling all this shit at me while wearing his MAGA hat, by the way. I tell my dad I don't want to talk to him about politics, and he laughs and grabs me on my shoulder roughly. We don't talk about it for the rest of the day, and I hope he won't anymore, but it makes me uncomfortable while we're at the grocery store. And he keeps treating me like I'm the dumbest motherfucker in the world because I don't think Donald Trump is the greatest president in recent history and America's savior. It's at the point where I'm afraid to vote for Biden because I'm scared of what my dad would do to me. I remember back when I voted in 2020, after my dad asked me who I voted for. I was still indoctrinated back then, so I voted Trump. One of the biggest regrets of my life. I told him this and he said something like, "I already know cause I watched you." I don't know the exact wording, but it was basically that. I confronted him about it years later, and he says he didn't, but I still remember what he said before. He shouldn't be allowed to do that, but I feel like he will anyway in 2024. I'm worried what he'll do if Trump loses again. I'll probably be forced to vote third party in the general election because of my fear of him. Even though I'm an adult, I still live with him, and it isn't worth him curing his wrath just to vote for the lesser of two evils, unfortunately. Sorry if this came off unorganized. I don't normally write stuff like this on Reddit, but this has kept bothering me since it happened, and I wanted to talk about it since I couldn't find anyone else online who had to deal with this specific level of deranged politics from their dad. There's more I could talk about, but I don't want this to be too long. I just feel trapped here with my MAGA dad, and it's giving me this sense of unease. And it hurts to know how far gone he is, cause up until now I still had a little hope he could get out of this, but now it's obvious he won't. And leaving in the near future is unlikely. I'm a high school dropout who can't drive. I won't get into that though cause it's personal, but just know there aren't many opportunities for me to leave, at least in the near future, so I don't really know what to do. I want this election to finally be over, but I'm also scared of what comes next. I just wish I could live in boring safe times instead of now. My plan for Christmas when I'm 18. When I was 14, my grandparents got me and deodorant, shampoo and body wash for Christmas. Only deodorant, shampoo and body wash, in front of everyone. It was downright insulting. Even my parents thought so. Even my raging narcissistic father. The rare occasion he'd side with me, I'd cower. Why? But I remembered this whole thing the other day. My mom was like, "Would it make you feel better if they got female cousins feminine hygiene products?" As amusing as that sounded, it would. I wouldn't want them to go through receiving such things as a gift in front of everyone. This wasn't my cousin's fault. It was my grandparents. They are very toxic. If you've met them and my dad, you wouldn't be at all surprised that my dad turned out the way he did. They clearly play favorites. If my cousins do some dumb shit, I end up getting in trouble. Their birthday and Christmas gifts seem to actually have thought put into them, while mine are things that I have no interest in and literally have Walmart clearance tags on them. I'm not even materialistic. I just see the favoritism in their grandparenting. Anyway, they got me the stuff for a gift, and like they're one to talk about how I smell. Their house literally smells like cat litter and mothballs. So next Christmas, they're getting Febreze plugins and migraine-inducing scented candles. That'll show 'em. No shorts allowed in this heat? Sure, my office has quite a casual dress code policy and in general kinda chill about what we wear. However, we are not allowed shorts. So in the UK here we get about 5 hot days a year that we get to endure. One of my colleagues got an HR email a while ago for wearing shorts in the office. He has great legs. Who could blame him when the weather was sweltering? The women in the office wear short skirts and dresses and showing shoulders all the time without any bat of an eye, and yay for them. but somehow shorts in men are just no. Oh well, I'm not commuting in 30 degrees Celsius in jeans. I'm very proudly queer, but I have never worn a skirt before. But I bought some fabulous skirts and wore them twice to work since. Once just to a regular office day, and then last Friday when we had a summer party. No one has spoken to me about my wardrobe choice yet, but my legs were so free. Some male colleagues told me they are inspired and we might see more skirts in the office when it gets warm again. Edit. Yes, I know kilts are a thing, but they're heavy and woolly and absolutely wouldn't be nice in the heat. Smiley face. Stay until it's done? Okay, I'm doing it by the book then and getting an extra day off. I used to work as a supervisor in my last job and was directly working with a union. Some of my managers really didn't want to deal with things when it came to workplace injuries, so I had to deal with most of them. If you have worked with a union before, this is a very long and time-consuming process. While important, very tedious. So that brings us to that one evening. I was on my second double in a row of 3 and very much ready to go home. As I wrapped up my area, my evening manager texted me to assist another supervisor with an injury. The supervisor was newer and needed to be taught. I informed them I was already there on a double and needed to come back on the morning, and was there anyone else or could they help them? This manager, who was notorious for passing their work on others, he texted me no, and I had to stay until it was done. Okay, I have written documentation of a directive. Who am I to say no? Alright, well then, since I'm teaching, I'm going by the book. I opened up the union and company policy on workplace incidents and followed it step by step. By the time we got to the drug test portion, the local clinic we use was closed and we needed to call it in. This is important because if you don't use the local clinic, the out of area one takes 4 hours to come out. While that was processing, I did a lengthy investigation with the union. I spent the entire night going by the book, taking pictures, and documenting everything I could. By the time I finished and the drug test finished, it was 7 a.m. and my shift started in 30 minutes. This is the time the morning manager came in. They are one of my favorites and why I pick up mornings all the time. When she saw me, said, "Oh, you're in early." I said I never left. Her face dropped because they have a rule that while management including supervisor can work more than 16 hours, if they work more than 20 hours they need a 24 hours reset. I wasn't in the union but still hourly salaried and got OT over 8 hours in a day. So not only was I going to not be able to make my morning shift, I couldn't make my evening shift either. I was still gonna be paid for both while being sent home. She asked me who told me to do this and I showed her the message from the evening manager telling me to stay until it is finished. I went home and enjoyed my extra day off into weekend. When I came back, I had an interview about the incident with the senior manager. After showing my messages, which the manager tried to delete but only did on his side, I was dismissed without any issues. The manager was written up by the senior manager, and they had to pay me my 2 regular shifts plus 24 hours of overtime. Needless to say, I stopped picking up after that no matter how much they begged. Added massage to message, smiley face. And this is a throwaway edit too. I may be good with union rules but apparently bad at spelling and grammar. Thank you all for the help. Stop feeding the stray cats. My neighborhood has stray cats. The community has always been united to take care of them, my family included. Me and some other houses put food and water bowls outside our houses for them. They have also taken them to get spayed so they would be safer. 2 of my cats are also stray kittens we found from before the adults were spayed. The stray cats have been doing good. We always keep an eye on them, and I feed them every day. The house right next to mine has been recently bought, and the new neighbor came to introduce herself to us. During the conversation, she talked about the stray cats in a judgmental way, like, "Oh my god, did you know there's stray cats here?" And my mother's answer like, "Yeah, we do. We help feed them." And that woman was shocked. She talked about how she has children, and the cats are dangerous, and how they could damage her Sear brand car, and that the community should get rid of them, and how insensitive we are for feeding them. And the list goes on. My mother just said we would not go be up on feeding the cats. And that was the last conversation we had with her. Honestly, after that, we haven't tried getting along with our neighbor. Not to mention how we always hear her husband yelling with the children all day. And I actually feel bad for the kids. They seem nice but the parents? Not it.